everybody. Okay, today we're going to talk about the holidays since they're coming up over the next month, 2 months or so, right? Regardless of what you celebrate, we're all probably celebrating something where we're either coming together with family or friends. And in this spiritual awakening journey, that can be a very different experience, whether you have been going through this journey for a while or you're new to it. If you're new to it, it can be quite a shock the first time you, I'll just say, re-encounter family at a holiday gathering, because typically this is when all of our old patterns and behaviors from growing up show up, whether you know it or not. And I got to tell you, they're really hard to identify at times. They're deeply embedded in us, is what I will say, to the point where we kind of have to go with a fine-tooth comb to understand them. But you know it by how you feel. We're going to talk about that today. But it can also happen with friends, where we're together for a, holiday gathering, whatever that even means for you. And we can often get, I'll just say, triggered one way or another, and we're going to talk about that, into old pattern behaviors of how we act with our friends, particularly if these friends are lifelong or long-standing, I'll say. So we're going to talk about that today and how you can get the most from the holidays for your spiritual awakening process, because I'm going to tell you right now, you can accelerate exponentially during these times. Now, a lot of us can have a tendency to think, I don't want to do this. I just don't want to do this. Because during this spiritual awakening journey, a huge part of this is coming back in. I mean, it is about coming back into ourselves, right? And a lot of that is cocooning, wanting to, the cocoon and the butterfly metaphor, but we're cocooning. We want the quiet times. And plus, as we move forward in the journey, we really are much more sensitive to a lot of energy. So it goes without saying, through the spiritual awakening journey, we can kind of not want to do these kinds of things, right? But then we're thrown into these circumstances, and we're going to talk about that too, being thrown into these circumstances where we have to get together with family and friends, and we just kind of go do it. And then what happens? Well, if we're not consciously aware of how we want to, I'll just say, what we want to be able to grow, how we want to be able to grow from this process, then guess what? We're just going to get sucked into our old pattern ways. We're going to feel icky when we're done, or some kind of degree of ickiness potentially, right? Because we all have some level of function or dysfunction or healthy, unhealthy in our relationships. And our closest relationships is where we learn the most in our spiritual awakening journey. So if you want to really accelerate this holiday season over the next month and a half, particularly before we go into the new year, oh my gosh, take some of what I'm going to say today, frame it up for yourself, and see if you can find a way to grow even more during this time. Plus, I think it'll actually make your circumstances during the holidays, whether they're just wonderful and beautiful all the time, or kind of difficult, which we all have that, right? We all have some things and some people who agitate us more than others, those old patterned ways, but I'm going to give you some ideas and some things to do to make this an opportunity for you, okay? An opportunity for you. And then when you come out of it, I don't know, at the new year, after all your holiday celebrations, one way or another, you can say, wow, I had so many reflections. Wow, here's the one thing I really gained knowledge on. Or here are 5 things that I just feel like I kind of mastered, right? So we always have learning in the spiritual awakening journey. And what better time than the holidays when we're together with the people who will activate us the most. All right? So we're going to talk about that today. So the point in this is to turn it around and make it a self-study. Okay? You can really be the observer in these circumstances. Almost like, now they're showing like a scientist. Oh God, okay. They're showing a scientist with a petri dish in front of them, big glasses, and like studying what's growing and what's, but like studying the audience, right? Studying your audience, studying the people around you, stepping back from that deep embedded energy we can have with friends, close friends, and family members. And we don't even know we get sucked back into that pattern, but it doesn't feel real good lots of times either, right? We all have something, and I will challenge you to, if you're sitting there thinking, well, everything's hunky-dory and beautiful In my family, I don't have any of that. It's all joy and happiness. And I'm not saying go look for something, but I don't know. I'll bet you can find some areas where you can really use those conversations or those moments for inner awareness and inner learning. And it all kind of starts with self-awareness. So going into the holidays with being very aware of yourself, how you feel, your emotions, what triggers you. You might learn there are some new triggers as such that bring up emotions, bring up feelings, and then either bring up action or inaction. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then kind of rolls you into this patterned way of being, but being self-aware of that and stopping yourself and being able to go, whoa, hold on. So that idea of being self-aware as you go into the holiday seasons with people that you're going to be around is really important to the self-study. And again, it will help us reflect on, and also I'll just say maybe also in advance or at the same moment, be able to understand what action we want to take or inaction we want to take. But it also can be the thoughts we bring. So it's not always what the human brings into the circumstance that we have with that person or people, that action or inaction, doing something, typically saying something, right? And we're doing something, right? But saying something or going within and just like, I'm not going to say anything, and then you just keep getting barraged with the same stuff, right? What it also is your thoughts. This is the biggest thing for me, is it's less the action, inaction, it's the thoughts we have. So you got to look at your thoughts too during these gatherings and really mind your thoughts and be consciously aware. So tip number one really is, looking at the opportunity to learn more about yourself during these times, but also realizing it's not always about the action and inaction. It's about minding your thoughts, because we can sit there on the outside and act like everything's fine or speak the words of everything being fine when someone else is having a conversation that might trigger us, or we may have a thought about them. We might have a judgment about them. Again, judging others, right? That's part of this journey, like learning to be non-judgmental. So being able to then mind your thoughts and say, whoa, wait a minute. I have a pattern of everything looks fine on the outside, right? But on the inside, I'm judging that person. I'm judging this action. I'm judging in my thoughts. Well, guess what? Thoughts are things. So what we have to look at too, right, is not just what our actions or our inactions are, but what are you really thinking inside? Because thoughts are things, and that's where we're headed, is where we manifest out of thought form, right? That's what we do anyway. However, if that's what you're thinking inside, but you're not projecting it out, you're still projecting it out through your energy. You're creating an energy. So, and you create that around you, and it affects others. So as you're judging someone else, as you're thinking about a circumstance that you've had happen regularly with this individual, and if you're in your head just judging, that's energy. You're creating that. So another tip here is, as I've said, is thoughts are things. Watch your thoughts, but we have to be so aware, because we can get wrapped up more than with any other group of people, those closest to us, and then we just go down the rabbit hole and we don't even know what we've done until afterwards, because we're not attuned to our feelings, our emotions, and all we've done is behaved in our patterned, egoic, human ways. But then when we step out of that, we can become more aware, and as I've said before, create space between what's going on in the room and your action, reaction, inaction, and also your thoughts, because that's not something we really think about. That's actually an action. Is having a thought is an action. It creates an energy in the room, as I said. So what you can also do is, as you start recognizing what's happening, your patterned ways, you can also work the energy in the room. And this is, And we all have this opportunity. We're all energy. And you don't have to be an energy healer or work with energy day to day. We all work with energy. We just don't understand it in the way that we understand it as we start going through spiritual awakening. So what I would suggest is, first of all, shift the energy in you. Catch yourself when you're doing the judgment. Breathe. Bring it back. Say, okay, reverse that. Let that go. That old judgment, that old patterned way of being. But clearly, this is a practiced effort. Catching yourself is key, right? And then shift that energy in you and start turning it back around. And I don't mean be a Pollyanna and say, oh, well, what they're saying is and are doing is fine. And granted, some of it is just their own way of living that we judge, right? That's their life. As if it's not hurting you, that's their, or anyone else, that's their life. But we still do those judgments, right? So shift that energy first in you. And as you start feeling that change and shift, and you can do that by realizing they're a soul on a journey too. We have a tendency lots of times, and you'll feel this at one time or another in the spiritual awakening journey, where you kind of feel like you know everything. And that's when you realize you don't. There's so much more to learn. And that's kind of what happens is the more you know, the more you don't know. But we have a tendency to want to tell everybody and, be the one on the top of the mountain, and we kind of know everything. So beware of that, right? But shift that energy in you and then realize they are a soul too on this journey, and looking at it from that perspective changes up everything. Realizing that what you're seeing is this human self, this patterned way of being, living in the human world that has become a way of being for them potentially, or a choice they've made, which is fine for them potentially. And so as you shift this energy in you and have a better thought, sending love, sending kindness, sending light, or just being in your own comfortable energetic space. And by doing that, you're exuding from your own self a softer energy rather than this harsh pattern energy we can get in. But again, it's first recognizing that this is happening. You have to be self-aware, recognizing these patterns, and then from there adjusting and shifting the energy in you and your thought patterns, and then working the energy in the room. You can experiment with this. You can work the energy in the room. Like at let's say you're having dinner at Thanksgiving, and all these different topics come up, or there's all, the different personalities in the room, some easier to get along with than others. You can also watch how one gets triggered by the other. You can just be the observer, understand the dynamics. This is fantastic for understanding human dynamics in the first place and watching patterns. But you got to do this from the outside. You can't get yourself enmeshed in those conversations, but looking from that side. It doesn't mean you don't participate, but you participate in a very different way energetically. So you can actually change up the dynamics at the dining room table for dinner. But you got to be first aware of yourself. You have to be consciously aware of being able to change up that energy with your thoughts. All right? And then exuding that out to others. And again, there's no real process for that. It's just being self-aware and knowing what your thoughts are. So taking it kind of as an experiment, right? Because remember, we're trying to learn something in this holiday gathering and change up for the betterment, the energy for all of us. And in particular, ourselves, because we can only control ourselves, right? So playing with the energy in the room to assist it to be of greater, honestly, they just said love and light. And I know we hear love and light all the time, but they'll relate to that. Wouldn't you love to feel a calmer, more easy energy? Like, let's say you have I'm making this up. Let's say you have an uncle who's boisterous and loud and has lots of opinions and not soft-hearted and tough and gruff. Wow. Wait till he starts having conversation and speaking out, and see if you can shift that energy in a beautiful way. Becoming aware, first of all, of your thoughts, all right? Because you got to change the energy up in your thoughts first. And then take what's happening there and look at how you can maybe shift that energy and those dynamics. It is such a study. I'm going to do this with my family, and I'm going to do this with my friends as well. And it's lots of times an inner dialogue you're having while you're also having a conversation with them. But it can be done, and it's fascinating to do. I've already done this a couple of years ago at Thanksgiving, and it was so comfortable being the observer as well. And again, being the observer also means you're listening more. You're not the one speaking out all the time, like I have a tendency to do in my family. I always was terribly opinionated, and now it's kind of like, it's not that important anymore. That's just human Carolyn thinking she knows everything, right? So being able to do those things can assist you in learning even more about yourself and the dynamics of humans and how energy plays such a huge part and how thoughts are things, and they truly are. This is how we manifest. And it's also how we're going to manifest even more so very solidly in the future in these Aquarian age energies. We're moving more and more into how our thought patterns will create, and we will manifest faster as we continue to move into higher frequency and higher vibration. Okay, so also what you can do as another little exercise is really connecting in with your emotions and your feelings. Study what you feel. Now, you may have a lot of things come up to one degree or another, but take a little journal with you. Just a little book, or put it on your phone under notes and say, Mom, triggered. I don't know, told me I was overweight in high school. I don't know, I'm making something up, right? But, and then got triggered from that because of this comment. Okay, so you don't have to sit with it then. Sit with it when you go home. You're going to remember it, right? And not like you're looking for things, but you're going to know by how you feel. So connecting in with your feelings and really being able to roll with that. Like, take your phone out. Maybe not at the dinner table. Take your phone out. Make a note. And then go back. If you really want to do this right and learn a lot during these holiday seasons going into the new year, go back home and go, okay, let's dig deeper on that. Where did that come from? Where did that come from? So let's use an example. And I'm kind of making this up. A little bit of it is a part of me, but most of it is just kind of made up because it's a great example. So during the holidays, people have a tendency, right, to dress up and kind of pick the right outfit, or just, on occasion, want to look their best, right? Well, what happens when family members proceed to tell you that doesn't quite look right on you, or your hair is not attractive that way, and all of a sudden you get rolling emotion inside of you, get big time triggered, and then probably triggered into some commentary you don't need to make, if you're vocal, right? Where is that coming from? Where is that roiling, boiling anger, feeling not worthy, being upset come from? Okay? So you may take this back to, for example, childhood or college years. I don't know, when maybe you were a little overweight or you gained weight. Like, college is a great time to gain weight, right? You gain weight. But if people in your family have been focused on the physical appearance most of your journey and what you look like, right? If you weigh the right amount, if you don't dress exactly properly for your body type, right? And the comments that can be made on the side about that, obviously very human comments, those may be the things that will take you back to have that triggered response. But what you want to do is then sit with that, and not just like sit and mire in the muck, but just go, okay. I mean, kind of look at it like a scientist, like a little more cold approach, particularly when it comes to yourself. But you do want to feel into it and go, okay, wait a minute. Okay, let's not stop there. What did that make me feel back then as a kid or someone in college? Or what did that make me feel? Not just that it happened, okay, because you don't want to stop there. What did it make me feel? Oh, it brought up the feelings of being unworthy or not good enough, or that looks are all that matter in the family, and you better have a presentable outer appearance because that's how people will judge you. And then what did that cause in your journey? Oh, wow, that was a thing for me throughout all my years. Oh, wow. And then I carried that in to my adult life. Oh, that's right. I have to be attractive to men because that's the first thing they're going to want. They're not going to want the inner me. They're going to see the shell, the outside. I need to look good all the time. So, like I said, some of this is part of my journey, but also adding to it for you to give you an example. You can really learn a lot from this. So what I would say to you is, I'm not asking you to dig the muck up, but I am saying when you get triggered in something like this, make a list. You might have a super long list by the time you're done with the holidays, right? And then go unpack it. Go unpack it. You will be amazed at what you'll learn over the holidays if you make this a practice in one way or another. Do any of these things and it will be helpful to you. So, as you are going through these processes and you are engaged in maybe more conversation, and this can also happen at work events, work holiday gatherings, right? Most assuredly, we spend most of our time with our workmates if we work outside the home, right? And boy, can they trigger us. They're like another family in many ways, right? So you can use that as well. And by the time you come to the end of the year, end of December, moving into 2023, oh my gosh, think of the diamonds and the gold that you will have found for yourself in your journey. And then you can say, wow, look at these two things that I really took a look at within myself. I understand them, and then start framing them up differently for yourself. And the more aware you become, the more you can change your pattern behavior, right? I mean, this is not like a one and done thing. This is the most important part, is becoming self-aware and learning how to make these shifts and changes over time. So the other thing that's really important during this time frame is take breaks. Okay? I know a lot of you have families and children that you're taking care of, but you deserve a break too. You deserve a break. Go get a snack or something and take a walk outdoors. Even if it's cold out, bundle up. You will feel so much better. Get a breather. Get breathing space. And I know a lot of you also travel from family to family, especially those with young families are going to grandparents, and it's just going to be kind of too much, right? Take a break for yourself individually. Go walk. Get in nature. Look at the sun. Enjoy the sun. Do some sun gazing. Take your coffee. Have it in the morning somewhere else. I don't know, but you can think of something to get yourself a break, okay? Breathing space. Because if you're in that energy all the time, it's going to be hard for you to become self-aware. You need the breaks, okay? You got to have the breaks. So try to find those, whatever that means for you. And then also, remember, even though this might be hard, you have the option of saying no. No, I'm not going to do that this year. No, we're going to do this year as a family unit. Just your family. No, I'm not doing that anymore. A lot of us get involved in patterned family ways and their expectations around that of, I have to do the same thing every year. That's exhausting, or can be. And it can be a time of great joy too. However, there are times where we need breaks. We might want to do something different. Just know it's okay to say no. Now, you may not get that from the other side, right? But know that you got to go with what you feel. You got to go with what you feel. Because remember what they said in many videos previously. Obligation energy doesn't help anyone. If we do things out of obligation, consistently out of obligation, that's a heavy energy we bring into the entire gathering. Remember your energy. Thoughts are things. Feelings are things. Feelings create an energy. Okay? So be mindful of that. It's okay to say no and to do something for yourself. And then realize they are a soul too. As I said earlier, and I just want to remind you of that again. They're covered up by the human experience, just like we are. We're not perfect. Yeah, we have a lot of awareness going through the awakening and ascension journey and being consciously conscious, right? Rather than running around unconsciously unconscious, right? And they are a soul going through their journey too. We are all one ultimately. And this is a great opportunity for you to look at these individuals and be able to see them and say, oh, wow, their higher self just spoke there. That was beautiful. I didn't expect that out of that person. And then all of a sudden, there comes the human, right? So just look for those beautiful nuggets. That's who they really are. And be able to understand that they too have been on this journey. They bring in so much from their own life just in this incarnation. And remember, we bring in our past life patterns as well. It's a pretty complex journey. So give them grace as well. And I know so many of us have been through traumas with our family and sometimes with our friends, right? Terrible traumas. But it's not about sitting there saying what you did was fine and wonderful and you can do whatever you want to me. No, that's not it. It's about being able to reclaim yourself, sit yourself back, reframe the energy, have that self-awareness, and understand they are on their journey and you may have been a part of that journey that wasn't that pleasant. But understand that you can only control yourself, your feelings, your actions, your inactions, and your energy. And then lastly, when you go home or you get in your space, clear your energy, okay? Clear your energy. You don't even have to wait until then. I would say do it every day, right? In whatever way. You don't have to have doing saging every day, right? You can have your own process. It's just intent. It's intent. Bring your team in, your angels and your guides, and say, clear me, please. Clear me. Clear me. Wash your hands. What I do after each client session, I run water under my hands. That just came to me. That's what I do. So come up with your own process to clear your energy. And as I talk to you about clearing your energy, I'm going to offer you a special. The special is a 22% discount on my 30-minute distance energy healing. It's just pure energy that I offer you, and then I will send you a sentence afterwards with kind of a clarity of what happened in the session. But you're getting a 22% discount off my option 3 under distance energy healing on my website, purplerainhealing.com. All you got to do is mention you saw this in the YouTube video, and I will work with you one-on-one. You just contact me. We'll get something scheduled. You can buy as many of those as you want through the course of this next month and a half. It's good through December 31st. You can also buy multiple in advance. Again, it's option 3 under distance energy healing. And I would love to work with you to help you clear your energy, but you can do this yourself too. But if you'd like to work with me, they're powerful sessions that I can offer to you. And I wanted to do this during the holiday season because it can be highly energetic, and clearing is super important, whether you do it yourself or you have somebody else assist you. So take advantage of that while you can. So remember, the holiday season is packed with fun and joyousness and lots of activities. And if you choose to participate, good for you, but you may run into some of these things. So enjoy learning, enjoy understanding the dynamics of your family, of your friends, of human society in general, right? Like really learning about what you see as pattern behaviors, what you see about yourself and pattern behaviors, and how you can change up the energy, all right? You can shift what's happening. This is a powerful part of who we are. We can change up the energy in a room. Practice it, try it, see how it works for you this holiday season. And again, I wish you well and remind you of all my services on purplerainhealing.com, where you can see all my channeling services, my one-on-one mentoring that I offer, as well as the distance energy healing. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.